More than 4 billion people live across Asia, and we are telling their stories. In this edition,
Hi mga madam, maayong hapon dihan ninyong tanan mga madam.
how selling used clothes online gave Mirasol Yatong a stable source of income and more.
Murag stray dog, murag inana, no? So sa dalan rami matulog, kira rami sa mga plaza matulog. Imagine ako akong life kanang before, kanang grabbing a struggle.
Contemporary Tibetan art is a niche, but two female artists are making their voices heard in Tibet and on the world stage.
我觉得，在做很多的事情来说，就会有一个责任感，然后就是会觉得想要，通过自己能够做到的一些方式去，传达我自己的一些想法，还有，更多的把西藏的这个一些新的文化给传播出去。
Hello mga madam, maayong hapon ninyo dihang tanan. Welcome back dito ulit sa Cebu Soul's Clothing. Hi mga madam, please do share my live mga madam. Palihog kong share. Welcome back ulit dito. Ako ang inyong tendera mga madam nga taga-isla pero guwapa.
Kaloy sad sa Ginoo, nakita jud na mo na ni boom gyud og maayo. Pagbali na nakog page kay wala pa jud kay ko'y customer but now na nakoy mga 5,900 sa pagkakaroon. Pag gabi nag-opening mohurot ko ang 100 pieces. So ang kinaugmaan na pod na ang kuan. So ini kaugma mahurot gyud na siya.
Mga madam, daghan kayong salamat.
Mirasol has been selling clothes online since 2018, using live streams to reach customers. Behind the scenes, her entire family of 7 are involved in taking stock, listing orders, and contacting buyers.
Parehaan ng akong customer nako sa Norway. Di gid siya mosugot kay grabe man gid siya mo mind, kusog-kusog kay siya mo mind, sunod-sunod halos siya mohurot sa sakabandol. IPM din siya sa kanang mga seller sad o madam nasad ko'y baligya madam ngay nani kuan then mo na siya nga dili gyud siya mo nang happy ra sad ko kay nay mga inana niya mga feedback.
35-year-old Mirasol's life is currently comfortable, but her early years were anything but.
Gipa-adapt ko sa akong papa at the age of 1 year old. Ana man tong yang amigo nga Siman. Amo na lang na kami na lang mo kuan din mo tong dili jud matawag nga adapt kay gibayran man si papa og kuan 40 pesos niya dako naman na sa una that time no.
When Mirasol turned 6, one of her older sisters found her. Determined not to be separated, they ran away together, penniless and homeless.
Murag stray dog, murag inana no. So sa dalan rami matulog. Kira rami sa mga plaza matulog. Imagine ako akong life kanang before, kanang grabbing a struggle.
Welfare services eventually picked them up and housed them with other orphans. 2 years later, the two sisters managed to be reunited with the rest of their siblings.
Among mama is battered wife. So mao nang nilaya siya pagkataon ako kay bali wala na siya nakaagwanta no. So akong maguwa nga si Teresita Rafael nga siya gyud ang ni-raise na namo. Grade 4 ra gyud ko kutob. Pero gibutang gid nako sa akong una-una nabi sa grade 4 ako. Kaya nako buhaton ang mga nahimo sa mga nakaskwela. So kuan aning kamot ko.
At the legal age of 15, Mirasol started working.
Trabaho ko mall before, 14 years ko nga promo. Then, after ana, katong naminyo din ko. Pag 2 years old sa akong bata, nga, feel ako nga okay ra gyud siya, stable na siya. Mao to, decide kong nilarga ko, nagpa-maid ko sa Malaysia. Sige, jud ko una-una, unsa jud kay maayo nga negosyo. O na gid na nasa akong una-una kay nagdako man ko sa akong maguwang nga negosyo pud iyahang gusto.
After seeing a live seller online, Mirasol decided to give it a shot.
Mag-live na lang ka ako no kay kanang ganahan mo kog inana, mura ganahan kog entertainment, ganahan ko nga malingaw ang tawo na.
But first, Mirasol needed capital. She had none, and her older sister only had a piggy bank full of coins worth $70. It wasn't enough. Desperate, they sold the last piece of jewelry they had. Mirasol's husband's necklace.
Kung ay prinda ang kwintas kay ipuhunan siya, ayaw ko ninyo among nga anak kay ana bankrupt lagi daw, maamong pa ang kuan. Anak ko dili lagi.
Mirasol needed the money for this. A tightly packed bale of around 150 to 300 pieces of second-hand clothing. She used to struggle to afford them. But today, she buys 6 to 7 bundles of these used clothes every week, earning up to $450 from each pack.
For example, kung US, like mga top grade, kasagaran kay mall pull out nila dito. Then, siguro ilan ang i-donate na nila or whatsoever. So, ang uban yun po, like pag Korea, kasagaran yun, gamit na yun kayo ang nilang mga item. Pero nindot raman sa Japon.
Mirasol chose to sell used clothing because it's big business. In the Philippines, buying second-hand is not just acceptable, it's popular. The industry is reported to generate almost $25,000 daily. But there are risks involved. For one, sellers cannot review the items in each bale beforehand, making each purchase a gamble.
Yung first bundle nga gipalit, kay ingon lagi siya, okay ko no, nindot ko no. Pag-abot, wa jud may mabaligya bisag usa. Example, oversized kay siya, as in masud mo upat ka tao, then inig-ana nimo magisi gid siya. As in gabok na gid tanan ang sulod sa bandol. So, di gid nimo siya mabaligya niya na may mga bra nga nasagol, mga nangabawog na sad ang wire, mga nangabali na so murag useless na jud siya tanan. So, di jud nimo siya mabaligya kay luoy man sad ang katong makapalit ato dahil di na pud sila mabalik-palit nimo kay bati imong item. So, wala jud to na mo siya gibaligya. Ito na yan, ako yung kupaitaan yun. Yung kung saan manin ako lami kay ihilak pero dili jud ko mo give up. Nakakita gid mig so flyer nga okay kaayo nga tanan item super kanindot gyud ang tanan item nga among nakuha sa iyahadan hantud nga ni boom ay ani man jud ning sa ukay nang kay syempre wa sad to kabalo ang nagbaligya nato nga inana atong abrihan so mao to okay ra.
And this is where Mirasol gets her supply from. Laura V, the owner, is a middleman, buying bundles from a local supplier and reselling them to 500 other sellers. She's also a live seller with around 35,000 followers.
I think 70% people buying thrift shop compared to the malls because they can afford it. Thrift shop is very affordable. You can find also branded, more and branded. Then you can find also the good prices and also different kinds of items you can buy. Example, you can for your 500 pesos, you can buy maybe almost 30 pieces of thrift items.
The exact contents are a mystery to Laura V, but she says there are general quality markers.
Class A and Class AB are different prices, different amount. Yeah, Class A is more higher than the Class AB.
Prices can range from $100 to $300. But cheap bundles might not mean value for money.
The items inside are not so pretty. Most likely there are like damaged items. Before they buy, we explain them also regarding the disclaimer of the thrift shop, this kind of business. Thrift shop is risky. We're going to give them an example on how they are going to sell it, and also the explanations, especially how you do this kind of business.
Sellers also worry about their supply cutoff because while selling used clothes isn't illegal, importing them is.
We have a law that actually prohibits it. It's RA 4653 was passed sometime in 1966, which expressly prohibits the importation of used clothing.
The rationale back then? To safeguard the health of the people and maintain the dignity of the nation. Today, the law is still enforced. In September 2020, a cargo of misdeclared used clothing was seized by customs.
Sometimes they misdeclare it to circumvent the law. For used clothing, since it is prohibited, we condemn them. We destroy them. We have accredited condemnation facilities here in the Port of Cebu. In the last few years, we have apprehended an estimate of around 6,000 to 6,500 bales, large bundles.
Smugglers can face a fine of around $400 and up to 5 years jail. Despite this, the Philippines saw a whopping 95% growth in live selling in 2020, spurred by Filipinos looking for extra income at the height of the pandemic. Used clothes continue to flood the market as illegal importers are hard to catch and grey areas exist.
Mall pullouts, if you're referring to clothes that are brand new but for some reason they have certain defects, did not pass through QA, then it's not really expressly prohibited. What is expressly prohibited are used clothing.
A commissioner once pushed for importing used clothes to be legalized, citing that it could potentially bring in $14 million a year for the government. But the proposal was rejected by Congress, as it was believed that used clothes could spread diseases and also dissuade investments in the local textiles industry.
So para nako, kung matinuod gyud nga himuon ni sa mga congressman nga balaod nga mahimong legal ang pag-import og ukay-ukay diri sa Pilipinas, dako kay ni siya tabang sa mga ordinary housewife pareha nako kay so di na ka madlok magnegosyo.
Lip-over man siya, ma'am, kanang sa pag-online ba. Iyang idiri na lang ibutang. Sahay, ma'am, kanang basta dugay-dugay na siya, ako siya tag 5. Nya hantod nga mag 5.20. Nana, dahil magdugok sila. Daghan sila mga ring nga taga-lain-lain silang isla, mga nidiri kay namin magbalita nila.
Tapukan sa dya dito, basta na siya dala bago. At tapukan sa dya, kay liman ka makadana ka sa imong 20-20 pud ka buki mong madala. So inana, malingaw raman pud sila ba kay dili naman to nako i-mind kay ginansya naman to siya.
Mirasol's venture has been a lifeline for her family.
Pandemic gyud katong paggrabe gyud sa pandemic, na-stop gyud ko og live selling ato kay of course giuna-una sad nako nga walay kwarta ako mga customer that time. So na-stop gyud ko og 3 months katigom mang kwarto around mga 80 to 90. Na kuan ra nako no, so diri mi tanan silang tanan, diri sila nako tanan, ako mo'y nag sa kaon na mo, so wala may naghuwat sa tabang sa gobyerno.
Nindot biya, ma'am, kay ngano, ma'am, kana ako igsuon, ma'am, mo jud ni siya nakapahatag namo bisag among panginahanglan na siya na tada nagkuan, naghatag kana para sa among pagkaon. Ko iya ko gipa kuan diri padala para naami source of income sa tantang gikuan iabangan gi miniyag kanang balay pud nga para mahiplian.
Mirasol is aware that live selling is a highly competitive field.
Nara ka sa balay, ang imuha lang gyud ang pagpaningkamot kay dili gid siya sayon. Pag-entertain pa lang daan sa customer nga di sila ma-boring. Mga way nga unsa imong buhaton nga ma-trademark ka sa imong customer inana nga mangita sila nimo ba. Naanad na gid sila nga kalog bitaw kay kumaninda puro ko kabuang makalit lang kog sayaw, then before kadlaw na ko mag-live mag-drawing ko sa kong naong kanang basta mambahak-hak lang gid sila. Anad sila nako nga kanang every end of the month magparapol pod ko. So kumbaga balik sa customer ang kuan.
Aray, kalisan ba ani bunot oy? Para sa queen! Yes! Congratulations, Madam LV!
Before kay nagparapol ko sa una is bag, mga wallet. Na ako'y mga pakulo nga kanang barato na lang kayo na po 100, 100 mo na ilang ko na mag-atang sila inana.
For Mirasol, social media has changed her life, not just in terms of her business, but in reuniting her with the rest of her family. She found one of her sisters and her mother on Facebook.
Mauna si mama, mauna ko. Pag sure diyan nang uy, siya wa jud ko na sayop manghud, mauna si mama manghud. Then nakaanak siya usa ka lalaki niya. Wala din niya gisulti nga na siya gibiyaan nga. Walo ka po kanak. So part na mo sakit pod isip mga anak mi, di ba? So na came up sa mong mind nga wa gid siya nangita na mo. Nalipay ko nga nakita na mo siya na nasakitan ko nga murag wala siya nangitag way nga muari contact me through Facebook then naman siya nga basin daw pag mahuman ng COVID ang kaning pandemic muari siya.
Right now, Mirasol is hoping to find one last sibling, her sister Angel.
Ako kay natabang ang internet nako. Nakita nako akong mga pamilya nga dugay nako wa nakita. Ug hopefully makita nako si Angel nga magpakita siya namo. Then ni-show up ako gamay nga negosyo nga makaana ako nga makatabang ko sa akong pamilya nga nagkinahanglan ako.
And she is determined to keep growing her business.
Padayon lang, best strong lang sa labi na sa mga nagsalig lang yun sa online seller. Parihan ako nga maora yun ang pang-income. Paningkamot lang yun, dili lang tamang hilabot sa uban. Padayon lang kung unsa imong gikuanan na maora na ako advice nila dahil go lang, laban lang ta. Padayon lang yapon ta sa atong pagpamaligya og be honest ta sa atong mga customer.
Hello mga madam! Welcome back ulit dito sa Cebu Soul's Clothing. Hi mga madam! Maayong hapon dihan ninyong tanan mga madam. So please do share my live mga madam. Palihog kong share.
Up next, meet two women using their art to capture modern Tibet and break preconceived notions about Tibetans.
我很喜欢的一个尼姑，她也是我最好的朋友。她的接受能力还是太强了。我平常喜欢的一些说唱啊什么，她可能过2天就已经会唱了。然后比如说我身上的纹身或者各种，她也都会觉得哇太酷了。
These are the portraits of a new Tibet, through the lens of Nyema Droma, a Tibetan artist, designer and curator. She's just 26 years old, but her photographs have already been exhibited at Oxford University's Pitt Rivers Museum.
我觉得，在做很多的事情来说，就会有一个责任感，然后就是会觉得想要，通过自己能够做到的一些方式去，传达我自己的一些想法，还有，更多的把西藏的这个一些新的文化给传播出去。
Nyema studied fashion photography and styling at the London College of Fashion, but she prefers working not with professional models, but with local Tibetans who reflect Tibet's unique contemporary identity.
我很喜欢的一个尼姑，她也是我最好的朋友。她的接受能力还是太强了。我平常喜欢的一些说唱啊什么，她可能过2天就已经会唱了。然后比如说我身上的纹身或者各种，她也都会觉得哇太酷了那种，我也要纹一个。所以我觉得其实就是西藏这种佛教僧人也好，尼姑也好，他们其实是非常宽容，非常能够接受能力是很强的。他是我一个特别好的朋友，然后他是西藏的一个警察，在就是便民警务站上班的一个警察，他是有很不同身份的一个人，因为他是纳曲的，所以他是牧民，然后他对这个牧民文化的了解也很多，会经常给我们讲很多东西，但是他又是一个警察，然后他又是一个说唱歌手，然后他又是一个街舞的舞者，所以我觉得他能接受到的文化是非常多样性的。然后他的一个状态，我觉得也是我很希望能让更多的人看到的一个这样的一个人物。
She believes her work breaks preconceived notions about Tibet.
在伦敦，我做了一个毕业展，然后我的那些照片也被展出了。然后所有的人问我问题就是 Did you bring the Budweiser to Tibet？ 然后他们以为我是，就是在西藏是没有 Tibet，没有那个 Budweiser。但是我告诉他们 ，Do you know Budweiser is actually like 在西藏是最受欢迎的啤酒，然后怎么说呢？就是其实这个是我们在随便一个商店里面都可以买到的。
Nyema was born in Lhasa, but only lived there till she was 8. She spent most of her schooling years in Chengdu, Sichuan, and then London for university. After graduating, she decided that she needed to experience life in Tibet and moved back. She says that only by living in the place she loves and is most familiar with can she have a sense of belonging, which comes through in her art.
我觉得，我接受到的很多信息和我身边的人接受到的很多信息，还有我们的生活状态，是跟很多人了解到的西藏人是不一样的。
Since moving back, Nyema started her own fashion line inspired by Tibetan culture. She also took up the responsibility of managing the Himalaya Snow Mountain Museum that her father started. Mount Chumulangma, or Everest, has a special place in the heart of every Tibetan. Her father has reached its peak 3 times. It is this love and respect for the mountain that inspired him to set up this museum. And now that Nyema has taken over, she has added her own touch by creating evocative art pieces like this snow monster. Ever since she was little, Nyema believed a mysterious snow monster inhabited Mount Chumulangma. She now thinks it could just be a strange animal. Whether real or imaginary, she hopes this icon can remind people to respect the mountains.
就是一个雪怪的尸体，尸体的解剖图里面打开都是一些真正从珠峰上面收集回来的垃圾，所以我们就创作了这样的一个艺术品，让大家去反思一下，也许可以用一种更环保的方式去生活。
If Nyema Droma is considered one of the newest female artists to join Tibet's contemporary art scene, then Tsering Droma could be counted as one of the female pioneers in this area. Born in Lhasa in 1968, Tsering Droma has been passionate about art since her childhood. At the art department of Tibet University, she studied oil painting, one of only 4 female art students at the university at the time. The others have now all set aside their brushes after becoming wives and mothers. But Droma still feels the need to express herself through painting.
现在的人看文字的人很少，就是看我把文字的东西变成一个画面。画面的话，你看这么厚的一个书，看的话要花几天；再看一个画的话，他也花不了几分钟就马上知道，就想表达那种的一个。
It's said that every true artist imbues their work with humanistic concern. Tsering Droma's approach to art can be described in 2 words: spirit and life. She is constantly thinking about life and death and reincarnation.
我最喜欢就是有点哲理性的那些想动脑子的那种的东西，有思考的东西，我比较那个挑战性的那种讲话的。
One of the ways she wanted to challenge herself was to have her own art exhibition in Tibet.
망제 제 수시디 인제스 세부 마음에 소치 제도와 디야 호시도 딜레
现在怎么去？
딜레 토스 당부대 간
跟这些
세제 자는 야오용 봐.
那是
디前个随点下那야오용 봐.
算了。
디 看很多米的这是不全部的，
좀 매지어래.
되지마. 되 어디로라.
어디 요래. 직들이 그래 실을 되나요라. 직들이 요래 가서.
For the exhibit, Zuren decided to partner with Kim Gezang, also a pioneer in her own right, as one of the first female curators in Tibet.
在我们西藏本土呢，以前从来没有做过我们藏族女性艺术家个展。Tsering Droma老师想做一个个展，然后问我能不能参与到这个项目中来。然后在这个交流过程中，我又觉得老师的人生也好、艺术也好、作品也好都非常有意思，然后我就直接接手了这个项目。
82年
美术
首届。我觉得女性画家的话比男性的话有一点优势，因为我这个角色就是我又要当老师的角色，又要当妈妈的角色，又要当那个画画的角色。
现在呀，我说，第那个，
对嘞，看了这么着。
路数了，拉数了，第那个说咋的个，给那个，第风格的，第那了多啊。
对嘞，以为是就是，你都。这样子呀，对他找不进样子。
你给他，你自己颜料你自己不要有呢？
不要有的。
自己不能是吧？你也去这脱改他的去啊，脱改给整体。
Even in Tibet itself, Tibetan contemporary art is a niche area, but Kim Gezang believes it's worth highlighting.
包括西藏当代艺术，它比较难能可贵的一点就是说，它在表现西藏正在发生的一些东西，它是一个正在进行时。我觉得能把这个展现给更多的人的话，也是一种很好的一种交流吧。你开始是哪个了？
你这小跟着那个中央美术学院录进去的。
这是嘛这个？
当代美术。 20年
启示录。中央美术学院进修去的人。那是。那是个，他顶着日子这些。
这不是说？
对呀，录下去。那是。
They might be contemporary artists, but their rich heritage and culture and identities as Tibetan women will always be a huge influence on Tsering and Nyema Droma's art.
Follow us on social media to contribute story ideas and share your thoughts.